couple more WWF questions. But first, I'm going to give you the personality test. It's not a personality test, but I never remember. I never remember to give it another name that's more suitable.
James,
Sorry, Sean. Say it again.
multiple personalities. Let's go.
Well, the one I'm talking to now, you give me the answers as that personality. So I'm going to give you. I actually scrubbed this one out. First time you saw Ric Flair naked, not in a locker room.
I don't think I've ever seen Rick naked, and thank God for that. I've heard stories, though.
Last man standing at the bar.
Haku,
Oh, really? I didn't know he was a heavy drinker.
who says he's got a drink?
Oh, he was just hanging out looking for a fight then, maybe.
We're just hanging out, having a Diet Dr. Pepper, just like Dr. Shawn. You need to make a drink that says Dr. Shawn, Diet Dr. Shawn. What do you think?
You're so after sponsorship from Dr. Pepper. I know you are, man.
I'm telling you, man.
I'll give you the next one. Hottest Nitro girl. And why is it Shay?
Shay, is that specifically, as you're asking me if
That's my answer. But who would your answer be?
which one's my favorite Nitro Girls?
Yes.
Is the question? Well, I got to say, Stacy Keibler, who became my valet.
Of course. I will be asking about that in a minute as well. Smelliest wrestler.
Geez, that's a tough one. There's quite a few of them. I would have to say probably. I just don't know. I can't think of them. There's so many of them. I don't know.
Say Vader. Everyone else said Vader. I know you never wrestle Vader, but
Who?
Vader. Vader. Everyone seems to sort of mention, or Balls Mahoney, and I know you didn't wrestle either.
I was going to say Glenn Jacobs, Kane, because he wore the mask all the time, but I imagine he washed it. Same with Mankind and someone maybe Doink the Clown. I don't know. I don't know. You'd think they'd wash their gear, but apparently not. Actually, that rings a bell. It was somebody actually that I worked with that was a local. Basically, there is a more or less, an enhancement talent. I remember someone in a town that I wrestled that was an enhancement talent. I can't remember their name, but they didn't smell too good.
Oh, okay then. Biggest bully.
Well, I guess the name that comes up would be Bradshaw, right? You hear that from most people, but I didn't really. I could see how he could be taken as a bully. I didn't take him that way because I don't know. I could see how he could be seen as a bully. So maybe some bullying tactics that he might have had, but I never felt that I was bullied because I can't stand bullies, and I wouldn't, I'd stand up to that. You know what I mean? So I would say he's probably the most perceived bully that I can think of in my time.
Biggest ladies' man.
Probably Ric Flair.
Of course. God, I haven't got my glasses on. Sort of most talented wrestler you ever worked with.
There's quite a few of them. It's kind of a context answer. I want, and this kind of leads me to a little bit of a story. From my experience, of course, probably Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. But I remember one of my greatest matches. People say, "What's your best match that really stands out to you?" And I got to say, Chris Jericho. And I say that because we had a couple house shows in New York, and I remember he was so over, and I was. I think fans wanted to get behind me, whether they booed me or wanted to, cheer me. But I think they were just trying to find a reason. And of course, that was the struggle with the company, is to find something that was pertinent and a storyline and a character that would, be strong and people would invest emotionally in, right? But I was still sort of, I think, in a developmental stage. But I remember making my way out to the ring, and I had the deepest boos that I had ever really experienced. And I was like, wow, this is great, And then when Jericho came out, the roof blew off, man. And everything that he did, they were so loud and cheered. Anything I did, they booed. And so the time that we wrapped it up and I'm in the walls of Jericho, I got to say, by the way, that move, don't ever get in that move. That thing can snap your back. Anyway, it was just so deafening loud that from any other experience that I remember. And that to me really stands out because it was just the art and the story that was told. In fact, when I got backstage, the biggest compliments were your peers like Undertaker and Steven Regal came up to me and said, they shook my hand and said, you guys put on a hell of a show tonight and really good job. That's one of the biggest, best compliment you can get is from your peers, especially from guys of that status, that are so highly regarded in the business. And I knew I had done something right because I got a raise on my contract the next week too. So, it was just, I have to say that was my most memorable match because I barely did anything and he hardly did anything, but it's because of what we did when we did it, the timing, our cadence, like everything was just it flowed so well that it just created this, it was magic. It truly was. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, okay, this is what they talk about. When you're over and you're really on, it was magic. It was an amazing feeling. So I had to say my two best matches, and I have to tip my hat to Chris. He led the match at the time. He was much more experienced than I was, at the time. And I'd say that he's that's a sign of being a really good talent.
Is this a first WWF run or second? So Invasion Planet Stasiak, was it that area?
Second, yeah, the second tenure.
Okay, I'll give you a couple of proper quick fire ones. I am very conscious of the time. Best and worst road agents.
Oh man, I feel stumped on some of these questions. I'm just trying to think. Best and worst. I mean, every agent that I had, they did what they were supposed to do. They did the best job they could. I really don't have an answer for that, who was best or worst. I would say I like Jack Lanza. My dad and him were good friends, and he'd always tell me stories about my dad. So I kind of felt this closeness. I had lost my father. So I think maybe subconsciously I was looking at him almost kind of like a father figure. And he reminded me of my dad from what I remembered, just his demeanor and just the era he comes from. So I'd say he's probably my favorite, agent. Pat Patterson was fun to be around too, a very creative guy. I can't think of worse though, honestly. I just, no one really comes to mind.
Right, so no one would ever find you then for being late or anything. I'll give you this last one, most memorable backstage fight.
Hold on, I take that back then. You said fine.
Yeah.
Johnny Laurinaitis, WCW.
How much and what for?
Being late. And I got to tell you a story. I remember I was with Mike Awesome. We were traveling together and we're like, we got to get to it was like a $500 or $1,000 fine or something. And so he's like whipping around the building, trying to find parking. And I said, well, let's just grab the security guy to wave us in. And he said, no, let's park it right here. And we literally parked the car about half a block away from the arena, grabbed our bags and started running to the arena. My phone comes flying out. I said, I got to get my phone. It slid under a car. I'm sitting there reaching under the car. I'm trying to get my bag, everything assembled and kept running and finally made it in there and barely made it and checked in and didn't get fined. But that was the kind of pressure you felt with Johnny as the agent who implemented this apparently. So I had been fined a couple of times, but that day or that night I didn't get fined. I made it.
Well, he gained popularity once he got into the VP, WWE VP, I believe.